Lost media has always been an interesting topic on YouTube, where people find lost pilots of TV shows, canceled movies, and TV shows, obscured toys, bootlegs, memes. It feels like a big event when things are found, like the Family Guy pilot. I remember when that got found. It was actually insane. But today's topic, I want to discuss video game lost media instead. And yes, I know I'm stretching the definition a lot, and also, it doesn't matter if things are lost or found. I just want to talk about stuff like this because it's pretty interesting. Without further ado, let's just jump into this already. So most mobile games during the early 2010s had a paid version and a free version that was usually a demo, and Five Nights at Freddy's 2 was one of those games. And the demo isn't that special, it's just night one, but you want to know what is special about this demo? Kinda. Is a mobile version that is released on an app similar to the Google Play Store called Aptoid. What it is, it's pretty much like an unlicensed Google Play Store, and you know when things are unlicensed, there's no quality check, so literally anything could be here, and what little do we know, a virus called FNAF 2 Stingray was here. And this version of FNAF 2 has Arabic text, and the game's icon is just half of Wither Freddy's face but grayed out. And there are two stories on what happens if you do play the game, and I don't know, the first one's pretty unbelievable in my opinion, and what happens in this story? So let me explain. So it's pretty much a normal version of FNAF 2 full game, but if you beat night 5, your phone gets hacked, and before it gets hacked, a Wither Chica jump scare shows up. I don't need to explain why this is so unrealistic. There's no way in hell a hacker would actually program a Chica jump scare, then hack her phone. But the one I believe the most is a version where it doesn't even have a game in it. Starts up with pretty much asking you for permissions for phone contacts and all that stuff. And then as soon as you allow it, it hacks your phone automatically. And this virus is called the Elite virus, which is a pretty popular virus during the early 2010s for cell phone hacking. And the only reason we didn't disprove FNAF 2 Stingray automatically is because around the time of FNAF 2 Stingray's release, there was an Angry Birds Transformers APK that literally does the same things as the second story I described of FNAF 2 Stingray. This might be fake, it might be real, we don't know. But yeah, or Angry Birds Transformers is probably our only proof. So what you're seeing here is a lost PlayStation 2 Pac-Man clone made by a European game studio called Phoenix Games, which they are very well known for their super low quality rip-off games like Snow White and the Seven Clever Boys and Pinocchio. And Disney properties aren't the only things they steal. They also steal art, and the origin for the Packy box art is from a website called irtc.org. And the image was originally created in 1994. And also, fun fact, this game was planned for the PlayStation 1, but Phoenix Games moved it to the PlayStation 2, probably because it was new at the time. And how we even know this game's even real is a Dutch website having this game listed, and there was never any copies sold, even when this first came onto that website. And we're not even sure, like, if this game's even real. Like, we do have a prototype, but knowing this game's infamous history, I doubt it being real instead of just like a mock-up, like, fan-made thing. But honestly, I just say take anything Packy related with a grain of salt besides the box art, because that's just like straight confirmed. So, in Sonic the Hedgehog 2006, or commonly known as Sonic 06, Silver the Hedgehog was voiced by Pete Cabal, which he kept voicing Silver until the 2010s, but on his website listing all of his roles in the series, there was a Sonic game called Sonic the Hedgehog Awakening, which we know absolutely nothing about besides Silver would have been in this game, and he probably would have been a major role, knowing that he was probably like the first cast member to be in it. And people speculated if this would have been a Silver the Hedgehog focused game or a Sonic 06 sequel. I don't think so personally. I think this was just a mistake on Cabal's website, and 06 wasn't received well, so there was no chance they would have made a sequel game resembling 06. Or people thought this could have been a scrap DLC for 06, which is probably what I think. But who really knows? Not even Cabal knows. Someone asked him on Twitter if he remembers doing the voice lines for this game, and he said he didn't even remember. Quick correction. This just never existed. What I meant to say was, he never did any voice lines for this, and yeah, it was just never been real, so my bad, guys. Anyways, continue with the video. Honestly, if you want my opinion on this, I genuinely think Awakening was a codename for Black Knight, if I'm really going to be honest, because Silver does show up in this game. He doesn't show up on Unleashed, but he does show up in Black Knight, so I honestly think this is what happened. On August 15th of 2018, an endless runner based on the indie horror series Bendy and the Ink Machine was released with a collaboration with Joey Drew Studios and a studio called Fat Mojo, and this game's difference to other endless runners is the 1930s cartoon aesthetic that Bendy's known for, and the front-facing view, kind of similar to the Crash Bandicoot Boulder Chase levels. And the reason why this game's now lost is because Fat Mojo kind of sued Joey Drew Studios for Bendy and the Dark Rival merch, because they made the merch. Yes, they made the game and they made the merch for it. Hell, the merch was actually being developed like when this game was being like developed. So yes, Bendy and the Dark Rival was like pretty early planned, but yeah, the merch didn't sell well and they got a little bit mad about it and they tried to sue Joey Drew Studio for it, and all because of like legal issues and stuff. The servers were kind of like slowly dying. They never confirmed it, but it was obvious the servers were kind of slowing down. The game stopped getting updates, and yeah, they pulled the plug around 2021-ish. In the early 2010s, everything had a mobile game like Sonic, Resident Evil, SpongeBob, the Croods had one? What? So it's no big surprise big greedy Activision saw the mobile game market skyrocket and decided to put one of their most popular IPs on it, aka the Call of Duty series. But instead of putting making a new original Call of Duty game or just porting one, well, they did port one, but specifically the Zombies mode of Black Ops 1, which for an early mobile game port of a Xbox 360 and PS3 era game, this is really impressive. We got multiplayer proximity chat, a top-down mode, and obviously it's not even anywhere close to the Xbox 360 and PS3 version, but it is pretty damn solid for a mobile version. But here's the kicker. Activision added microtransactions to it, and you may be saying it's a mobile game, and of course Activision would put microtransactions in everything they make. Well, like I said, the kicker is you have to unlock doors and barriers and stuff you unlock with points in Zombies mode to literally fucking survive behind a paywall. I don't even need to explain why this is dumb, and nobody bought this shit. So literally, this mobile port's been like this for years until July 25th, 2018. They decided to pull the plug because of this, and also newer phones having compatibility issues. The Animaniacs had a canceled game for the Game Boy Advance, which this game resembles the 2D platformer on the Sega Genesis, and this game's plot is pretty basic. It's pretty much Brain trying to hypnotize everyone while Yakko Wacko are out of their tower by hooking up the speakers to the tower. He successfully hypnotizes everyone except for the main three. They realize everyone's been hypnotized and they're gonna stop him. And that's what we knew for the longest time. We've seen pictures of the box art, the manuals, screenshots. This looked very complete. What was the problem? Why did it never come out? Well, the development team was going through really hard times with publishers, just too much developers, and just so much stuff was going on, the game ending up never releasing. So, yeah, for the longest time, it was just gone, nothing, just only screenshots in the manual and box art. But randomly, a guy on the Hidden Palace website just randomly found this on those 101 bootleg GBA flashcard things, and luckily he dumped the game. Now we can play it in its entirety. After the release of the controversial Crash Mind Over Mutant, fans were really not happy with this franchise at this point in time. The series was pretty unrecognizable, so Radical Entertainment saw this and decided to start developing a new Crash reboot in 2009. But they were too busy with Prototype at that time, so development was pretty slow until Prototype released a critical acclaim, so Radical started more progress on the Crash game. And they decided on two names, I Am Crash Bandicoot and Crash Bandicoot Landed, which they ended up choosing Crash Landed. The story of this game would have pretty much been the same as the first game, but Crash lives on his own after he escapes Cortex, instead of saving Tana, which she doesn't exist in this game. And Cortex's right-hand man is dingoed out of all characters. I mean, I'm not complaining, but him and Cortex are trying to capture all the Bandicoots, which are these small little Bandicoot creatures. And this game would have been kind of open world, but not like Twinsanity, so pretty much just a linear open world. And Crash would collect stuff to make weapons. And this game would have released on every console at the time, even the DS, which, fun fact, the version you're seeing in the background is the DS version, and the developer of it did record his own footage and upload it to YouTube. And we found another DS port that's pretty different to this one. But Radical Entertainment was planning big things for this game, like a McDonald's promotion where you could get coupon codes on the map of the Wampa Islands. And they had a whole ass burger you can order to tie into this game. And they were pushing Crash's future ahead by hiring High Big Impact Games to make a kart racer game similar to the older ones. But none of this happened because Activision laid off Radical Entertainment employees because of Prototype 2 failing financially. And then the Crash Team Racing game turned into this DreamWorks kart racing crossover game, and boom, Crash Landed was over. Okay, I know I'm talking about a mod here, but the length and stuff in this mod is actually really insane, and I don't have any other chance to talk about, so I do whatever I want. So the Versus Sonic EXE mod for Friday Night Funkin' is still, in my opinion, one of the most important mods for Friday Night Funkin' ever. It started trends in the community, straight up revived Sonic EXE as a creepypasta and gave him fan interpretations, which played a massive part in the cancelled version 3 of this mod. But after some time this mod came out, a fan of this mod made his own Sonic EXE mod, and guess how long it is? Like, seriously, guess how long it is? 6.5 hours long. Yep, not joking, not even exaggerated. Yes, this mod has 6 hours of stolen content. Yep, not even crediting the artists. Everything here, the sprites, the songs, the charting, just everything's stolen from countless Sonic EXE mods. And some of these are fucking weird, like Needle Mouse, which is a character from a Sonic Analog Horse series, dressed up as Shantae. Also, this mod is buggy as hell. Okay, I don't know much about FNF modding, but how the hell does this happen? So after that, you really think the creator would keep this? No, he just deleted it out of nowhere. Literally not even a word, but it's obvious it was because of the comments on the official gameplay teaser, literally telling everything's here is stolen. But luckily, this absolute chat on Twitter posted a link, a Google Drive link, to the fucking fan expansion. Thank you so much. Come on, this mod has the literal achievements on the FNF wiki for the longest FNF mod at that time, and the largest file size of any FNF mod at that time. Oh my god. Okay, I briefly talked about Waluigi Fifth Fault in my 20 useless Mario facts video, but what I didn't mention is this game was promoted through a Nintendo Power magazine, and it gave us a description on what the game would have been like. It directly says, to mark the momentous occasion, we're giving the purple one his very own website. You can check out www.waluigi.com for all evil sidekick needs, photos, secret information, and all wacky hijinks you can ever desire. And we're lucky to have online games too, including the Waluigi Toenail Clipping Party. It seems that everyone's mustache mischief maker has let his personal grooming go, and it's up to you to help him clip those nails good. And be sure to aim for the jar, or you'll be left with ragged clippings and toe jam all over your drive. Ew! This is all real, by the way. Most bootleg video games are iconic, like 7 Granddad, Ronaldo Soccer 64, and Sonic Adventure 7. I would still say they're still around, which makes sense, bootlegs will never die, but I mostly see them on mobile devices and sometimes on the Switch. But what I want to look at today is GBA bootlegs, like Sonic Fighter 3, Fighter Sonic, Mario DX, and Donkey Kong Country 2. And you probably just realized, aren't these all made by the same company? Yep. Syntax isn't the only company that makes GBA bootlegs, but they're probably the most well-known. They make the same game with different IPs like Crash Bandicoot, Ninja Turtles, Shrek, but what I want to talk about specifically is the Rayman one. Why I find this one so fascinating is, unlike Mario, Sonic, and hell, even Crash Bandicoot, Rayman doesn't get too much bootlegs. And this game isn't too special compared to the other Syntax games. It's literally just the same game as the Crash Bandicoot bootleg, the Shrek bootleg, hell, even all of them. But I just find the stolen assets from this game pretty interesting, like a background from a Super Nintendo Speedy Gonzales game, which was used for that Sonic 4 bootleg, which is still better than the actual Sonic 4. And many sound effects from Pokemon, and hell, even Digimon showing up as enemies. Oh yeah, this game also has a really good OST. It's like it's totally not the same sound from the other Syntax games, but who cares, just listen.
Hey, wanna listen to some tunes?
Yeah, you like this song? Guess what? It's the only song in the game on repeat. But I'm getting off topic. You saw Rayman in the thumbnail, you clicked on this video for it. You wonder, how was this lost? Well, you see, Syntax's games are really difficult to find, and we only have seen the box art for Rayman 4, and which is literally just the Rayman Arena box art, but with a different background, and some gameplay videos from like 2011, but we had no ROM, and the person who had the old copy from 2011 tried to dump it, but the GBA copy protection was pretty strong for this game for some reason. So for years we had nothing until 2020. This and the Ninja Turtles bootleg game were found together and successfully dumped, and you could play it right now. 2015, aka what I like to call the biggest year for FNAF. I generally think this was when the series was at an all-time high. This is when we started to get merch. Literally the movie was developed at this time. And even better, we got 2 games out of it, Five Nights at Freddy's 3 and the very anticipated FNAF 4, which advertised itself to be the final chapter, so obviously fans were beyond hyped for this game. But some fans noticed on the App Store and Google Play Store, they could play FNAF 4 early, but it wasn't the real FNAF 4. It was a really weird, bizarre bootleg, where it steals Gmod FNAF fan art, like one with Sniper TF2 in the pizzeria, and one with Freddy and Pinkie Pie from a specific FNAF fan game called Five Nights at Pinkie's. Also, Soldier TF2 is here. And when you actually start the game, it gives you really weird questions like, what is your gender? Do you like to play mobile games? And when you actually finish all the questions, it gives you a really crappy 2D platformer, which was so bizarre that Scott Cawthon had to take the game down for very obvious reasons. But if you really want my honest opinion about this, I think this was some type of virus or app that tries to steal your data, but who really knows? This is just some really weird lost bootleg. Talking Tom is a pretty simple game. Literally just code in an audio repeating code and some animations, and boom, you just made a Talking Tom game. So, no big surprise, there's a lot of ripoffs and bootlegs. Which, this one is pretty interesting. This one is called Talking Tom Cat 3, also known as Talking Tom Cat 3 in Olympics, which was a Chinese bootleg game released by the developers Nen Jin, and this game is pretty much a one-to-one copy of the second Talking Tom game. Literally, they are stealing the model, which I know isn't a big deal for the first Talking Tom game because they used a pre-existing model, but for the second game, yeah, Alpha 7 made this model from scratch, and also they changed the background, and from what we know, this game was created sometime in 2012, because I am not joking, there is a Gangnam Style reference, which there were sequels like Talking Tom Cat 4, where it was pretty much the same game but Christmas themed, but Alpha 7 took legal action for really obvious reasons, and these games were lost until 2024, where the games were dumped online. But before you go try to seek them out, I highly recommend you don't, because literally these games are known to have viruses in them, so I really don't recommend trying to hunt them down unless you really want to destroy your phone. When I show you this image, what do you think is inside this disc? First of all, your brain's probably thinking, what the hell is this box art? And second of all, oh, it probably has a copy of the PC version of Plants vs. Zombies or any Angry Birds game that was released on PC. And you would be right about the first part, and the second part, first of all, we need to talk about where this thing was found. So around the 2010s, when Angry Birds and Plants vs. Zombies were at their peak popularity, pirated DVDs were sold around parts of Latin America. Countless people from the area have found the disc and recalled it having it been bought for them. So we don't know much about the origin, but from my guess on this image, I would say it's from some weird flea market or some dollar store. But now, the moment you have been waiting for, what is on that disc? Well, you just get a normal Angry Birds Tunes background, but it's just stretched to hell. And if you click on one of the quote-unquote episodes, you just get stolen Angry Birds and Plants vs. Zombies videos, official and non-official, and Fun Videos TV. Which is a rabbit hole I'm getting to on a separate time, not today. And yep, that's really it. And it wasn't really lost, it's just not too many videos documenting it exist, and We didn't even know when it was properly found because there are a lot of versions of this bootleg, and this very specific one says it was found around 2020, but I couldn't find anything about that. So if you do find anything about this version, please correct me if I'm wrong. The video game market in Brazil is weird. Like, did you know the Sega Master System was very successful there, and also the PlayStation 2, which most of the PlayStation 2's library in Brazil were just GTA San Andreas ROM hacks illegally sold on discs. And one of these is the iconic GTA San Andreas Batman The Dark Knight bootleg, which the bootleg isn't the part we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the intro where it looks like a Sonic AMV from 2009, where no one knew what the song origin was for this intro because, remember, around 2007, when this bootleg was found, we didn't have anything to detect what the song was from, and the audio file wasn't in the game because it was in the MP4 of the intro file. So, around 2022, the lost song was found, and why did it take so long? My possible theory was, since Brazil's video game market is pretty obscure, same with these GTA bootlegs, no one around the world cared, and Brazilians also didn't probably bother with this, and it was just a forgotten bootleg. And eventually, the song we were looking for was right under our noses. Re-uploaded in 2014 by the artist Nico Sofanos. The song is called Weapon of Choice. Yep, it wasn't really lost, it was just no one cared to find it. So, do you guys remember how they used to port 8th generation games to 7th generation consoles? And they barely worked? Well, NetherRealm Studios was gonna put Mortal Kombat X on the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. Literally, it was shown in the first trailer. However, mysteriously, the next trailer, they removed the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 logo when it was showing off all the platforms. Then Warner Brothers officially announced the port was cancelled, and the reason was the game wasn't up to the standard of the Mortal Kombat series. Then nothing about this port was mentioned ever again. But from online listings, this game sounded identical to the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 version. Hell, even DLC codes were available for the 7th generation console versions. But we do have footage of the port, but it's pretty underwhelming in my opinion. It has nothing to do with MKX besides the devs reworking the MK9 engine. That's what this test was for. Yep, not a single thing from MKX is in this build. This one isn't really lost, but it was never meant to be seen by the public. But after the release of Freedom Planet 1, Sabrina Darrow, aka the creator of Freedom Planet and the owner of Galaxy Trail, asked the Christian Whitehead, yes, you know, the Christian Whitehead, the guy who worked on Sonic Mania, to port Freedom Planet to the retro engine so it would be more easier to port it to consoles. And maybe more easier to port the DLC that got cancelled. So Christian Whitehead made a small tech demo, which doesn't have too much going for it, but all we have is a tweet of Christian Whitehead running around the level Aqua Tunnel as Mila with no sounds, no enemies, no hazards, not even anything to collect. And I couldn't find anything else, and the reason why it was even cancelled was I couldn't even find anything about it, but hey, at least Christian Whitehead worked on the physics engine for Freedom Planet 2. GTA 5, the game that's on every platform from 2013 to 2025, except the Wii U. But it was planned pretty early in development, around some time of the Wii U's launch. IGN did an interview with the vice president of Rockstar Games, Dan Houser, and one of the questions asked was, what consoles will GTA 5 be available on? And Dan said every console that ended up the game releasing on, except for the Wii U, but he did consider it. And a few days later on November 19th, former Nintendo America president Reggie Fils-Aimé was interviewed by MTV Multiplayer regarding the recently released Wii U. One of the questions asked was, will the Wii U be able to play Grand Theft Auto 5? And Reggie Fils-Aimé responded, saying that people at Rockstar Games had very positive things to say about the Wii U, and it's Nintendo's responsibility to provide development tools for the developers. Even after all of that, the Wii U port never came out. The cancelled PC port eventually came out, but nothing for the Wii U port until March 2015, where a staff member of the Unseen64 website claimed to see in a tweet a prototype gameplay of GTA 5 on the Wii U. We have no confirmation on why this was cancelled, but my theory was hardware limitations because keep in mind, the Wii U is just a weaker PS3 and the PS3 can barely play GTA 5. A port of Rayman 1 was being made for the Sega 32X. Before quietly being shelved, this port was 1 out of 2 planned, the other one being a 3DO port. It was mentioned in magazines in the first half of 1995, as well as in promotional material for Rayman 1, which advertised itself as being one of the 5 ports Ubisoft planned for Rayman 1. The 32X port and the Jaguar port were slated to release June of 1995. However, both the 32X and 3DO ports would end up being cancelled. When you think of major games that released in 1998, you at least have Half-Life cross your mind. It was one of the biggest PC game experiences at that time. But what if I told you this PC exclusive would have came out on the Dreamcast? So, around the early 2000s, Gearbox and Captivision Digital were tasked with making a PS2 and Dreamcast port of Half-Life 1. Gearbox was tasked with making new content. Captivision was working on the actual port, and eventually the PS2 version did come out, with many delays after sending review copies and critics giving the port a poor reception. Then after all the delays, Valve realized the Dreamcast as a console was slowly dying. No one was buying this shit. So they decided to cancel the port, and the game was just straight up finished. Like, we had ads, we had strategy guides. The game is just straight up complete. But luckily, recently we have found a port found from May 2001. And it's fully functional. You can play this on real hardware. Hell, like I mentioned in the bootleg section, Brazil's weird video game market, they've been illegally selling this Dreamcast port in Brazil, which I find pretty fascinating. We all remember this abomination, right? And no one liked it. Besides Paramount, they were the only ones that liked this design. They thought this is what the audience wanted, which they didn't. Thankfully, we ended up getting the redesign by Tyson Hess, but what if I told you there were still some trailers and leaked photos of the older design and even older designs than this? So let's rewind to December 6, 2018. Paramount Pictures were going to reveal their brand new Sonic movie that's been in development for a bit at CinemaCon, which the trailer itself was pretty different from the April 2019 trailer, but we have no footage of it because at the event, no phones were allowed for obvious reasons at the screening of the trailers. But tweets were made after the trailers, but they got quickly taken down by Paramount. But from the remaining screenshots of the tweets, they said they liked the design and they thought it was cute. Well, we don't have any footage, but I do personally think the Sonic design from this random Nickelodeon ad was the design from that lost teaser, which I also do think this is pretty much the same design as the Chris Pratt poster. But later this year in the Big 25, a far-fetched Twitter account posted some unseen Sonic movie stuff which doesn't show the design from the CinemaCon teaser, but it does show stuff from the old Sonic movie design from the April 2019 trailer. So my personal theory is I think they scrapped the CinemaCon design around, like, I think personally, like, even before the CinemaCon trailer was shown, like, probably like a few months before it was shown, they started changing the design. At least from what we know, early 2019 is when they fully stick to the new movie design because of merch leaks. Back in 2013, Adult Swim had a promotion with Team Fortress 2 where they air ads for the Venture Brothers and also gave out exclusive Adult Swim themed cosmetics, but while Valve was working on a TF2 screenplay and other stuff, Adult Swim pitched a 15-minute source filmmaker Team Fortress 2 show where the writing style is similar to the Meet the Team shorts. And Valve loved the idea, so they reworked that screenplay to be more in line with a 15-minute episode for a TV show. But Valve, with their infamous timing, kept delaying the show, and Adult Swim is slowly becoming worried about the production of it. But around late 2013 to early 2014, a rough storyboard was finally completed, but unfortunately it didn't fit the guidelines of the network's programs, and Adult Swim needed this to be 11 minutes so they can air ads, but Valve wanted it to be 20 minutes instead, and both companies had creative differences. both kept arguing on certain things until eventually in spring 2014 they pulled the plug on it. But luckily enough, some of the early footage made for it was used for the Love and War update. In 2007, a year before Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts released, a TV show was being made to tie into that game, and the show would have been created with CGI similar to the Viña Piñata show, which was an also rare IP that also got a show, but we have nothing besides concept art, which had drastically different designs from the N64 games and even Nuts and Bolts. And the project ended up being cancelled because they didn't know what they were doing with it. And it was never publicly acknowledged until 2015, where the artist behind it, Elmio Lopez, shared it on Twitter. So Spyro the Dragon was going to have a movie based on the Legend of Spyro reboot trilogy, and Universal and Activision were working together on it in 2007, and it was planned for a 2009 release but pushed 2010, until Activision pulled the plug because they were planning to take Spyro into a new direction, aka known as the deepest pits of hell. I meant Skylanders. And the only things we knew after it got cancelled was the poster, a brief description of the plot, which was a retelling of the first Legend of Spyro game, and the reason why it was cancelled. But sometime in 2022, the script got leaked, and from what I heard from the Spyro fanbase, it's really bad from what I've heard. Like, I'm not reading the entire script for this video, but I'm just gonna take the words from the Spyro fans. This sounds bad, and yeah, I'm just happy we got Skylanders instead, and then finally the Reunite trilogy. So the Mighty Number 9 Kickstarter had one of its stretch goals being some type of adaptation of the game, and it could have been a manga, anime, or 3D animated TV series. But at the Anime Expo in 2014, a short teaser for the 3D animated series was first shown there, and it was planned for a 2016 release date to coincide with the release of the game. But the reason it got cancelled was no network was willing to pick this up, and the negative reviews of the game impacted the potential that the creators had for this franchise. And honestly, for Mighty Number 9 standards, this doesn't look too bad. Don't get me wrong, this looks bad, but remember, this is Mighty Number 9 on the Nintendo Wii U. Like, seriously, this still looks better than Mega Man Fully Charged or whatever that Mega Man show that came out in the 2010s was. I don't need to explain who Herobrine is and his impact on the gaming community. We have all seen those how to summon Herobrine videos on YouTube, and we all got sad when it didn't work, but that didn't stop people from making videos and live streams faking a real Herobrine sighting. For example, The Notorious Stream by Copeland on August 30th, 2010, where he spends 20 minutes running around his world until he enters his house where Herobrine is on his door and scares the shit out of him, and quickly posted this to 4chan where people surprisingly believed him. I mean, to be fair, this was early Minecraft where modding wasn't really accessible, but unfortunately the streaming service took down the stream, and after 14 years, a wild goose chase started around 2020. We did have some screenshots and some fun facts from the guy who made it, like the fact that Herobrine was just a Photoshop texture on a door, and also his world has 3 houses. But luckily, someone added the stream in their hard drive and just posted it. Yep, we really searched this hard just for someone to post it. I mean, happy we found it. Okay, what I'm gonna say about this topic might be very wrong. I've double checked with the Necrodancer subreddit, got no responses, and this is my video, I do whatever I want. But yeah, if this is not lost media, it's in the game files, please correct me if wrong. But if you haven't heard of Rift of the Necrodancer, it's pretty much a spin-off of the Crypt of the Necrodancer series, with gameplay really similar to Guitar Hero instead of a Zelda dungeon crawler. And this one's special because it has crossover characters like Battleline Celeste, Hatsune Miku, and VTubers, and what the hell happened to Peppino? And you may be wondering, why is he dressed like that? Well, there was a bit of controversy about this DLC, so in this Nintendo Direct showing the game was coming to the Switch and showing off some unannounced DLC, Peppino was shown with a brand new design, and Pizza Tower fans were furious about it for some reason. It's not even like an old ugly movie Sonic situation. Literally, he just has different clothes, and it's at the point where people thought this was AI.
Peppino looks dead-ass AI generated in the new Rita the Necrodancer DLC.
You stupid!
Yeah, that's how much people hated this design. But thankfully, the Rita Necrodancer team did respond by saying Peppino took back his old outfit because no one liked it. My poor guy, he just wanted to get some proper chef attire, man. You're all dicks to him. This piece of Lost Gaming Media is the end-all be-all of Lost Gaming Media. Nothing compares to how sought after this piece of media is, which is the iconic Lost Super Mario 64 Screamer video, aka known as Super Mario 64 Big Store Secret. So even before the internet evolved in the 2000s, people have always wondered if Luigi was in Super Mario 64. There was many theories, hoaxes, and pranks about this, and this is the part where our boy comes in. Lotus Man comes in on August 15th, 2007 with a video called Super Mario 64 Big Store Secret. In this video, he guides you through with this crappy Mario recolor, and eventually the iconic Keyfi zombie jump scare plays, and people really didn't like that. There was a lot of hate comments in this video's comment section, so the creator took down the video, and that was it for a while. No one remember it. Probably a lot of people scored from it, but didn't remember it. But one day in 2020, this one dude remembered it. He posted to the Lost Media Discord server and wiki this wanted poster for the video, and a wild goose chase started because of this. And like most great media, everyone works together to find the missing pieces. They need to put the pieces together. And through this search, we've gotten a lot of things. So personally found the link to the video, some screenshots, and some footage, which the footage is mostly from an older prank video where an older brother's pranking their younger sibling with this video. But sometime this year, the Big 25, some footage, real footage by the way, was found. And you want to know how it was found? Through a method where you abruptly shut down your computer when YouTube used to use Flash to play its videos, and it cached to your computer and it never gets cleared. Sadly, it isn't the full video, but we did it. We found at least 48 seconds of the video, literally half of the video. It's preserved. Half of the video. We did it, boys. All jokes aside, this is just straight up talented that people can team up together and find an old-ass Lost Mario 64 jump scare video. I love the internet. I knew from the beginning of this video's development, I wanted to talk about this. So, you guys remember those weird Flash game websites based on IPs like Mario, SpongeBob, Sonic? Well, I remember playing an Angry Birds one when I was younger on my dad's crappy old Windows Vista laptop where it ran like ass. I don't remember much besides the game, besides it had Animal Crossing music, had Angry Birds with wings, and I think the background was like some stock Halloween thing. I couldn't find anything about it. I looked everywhere. I even found the original website it was hosted on. Couldn't find the game, so if anyone could find this, please tell me this isn't some weird fever dream I had as a kid. It is very important to try to preserve any type of media if possible. There will be points where I personally draw the line, but for most people they don't see it that way, which I totally understand. I'm just mostly glad that people can come together and just search for certain things like lost builds of games, YouTube videos, movies, TV shows, anything. Hell, literally we could discover funny ass things, literally. It doesn't even matter. We can mock them all we want for them spending most of their time fighting this stuff, but it's pretty cool in my opinion. But without further ado, like and subscribe please. I'm done with this. Bye-bye.